All right. First of all, thank you so much for being here as you favor the talk over the beer and the food out there. So I really appreciate it. Yeah, we can have all of us drink after the talk. We'll enjoy it more, right? All right. So I'm going to start by the question, how many developers we have here? Oh, cool. Great. Wonderful. How many of you are using Docker? Great. How many of you are using Kubernetes and know how to customize it? Wow, wonderful. Well, I'm not going to repeat this question for ArgoCD or other tools. As you can see, this list actually keeps getting larger and larger with the rapid growth of technologies and tools we have today. The ecosystem of any company is even getting more complex and very difficult to understand and deal with, especially when we have newcomers. Well, on the other hand, this is time-consuming and overwhelming to developers to know about all these tools. And as I said, this list can get larger. And even more, this is really impacting our development cycle. It slows it down. And what we want to do is how can we improve the productivity of our developers? How can we improve our developer experience? Hi, everyone. My name is Maha. I am an engineering manager at Elastic. I'm leading the release engineering team at Elastic, where we are providing guidelines, tools, framework, guidance to the other product team at Elastic, empowering them to produce their releasable artifacts. I also have a PhD in optimizing performance of multi-tier distributed systems deployed in a private cloud. And today, I'm gonna talk about how can we increase and improve the productivity of our developers across our organization by adopting and implementing what we call developer portal. So first of all, let's try to understand and answer this question. What is a developer portal? Sometimes we call it internal developer portal because it's dedicated to be used internally in our organization by all our developers. And we refer as a shortcut IDP. So when I say IDP, internal developer portal. Well, the idea of having IDP is to build a layer on top of all existing tools, technologies, workflows, documentation we have in place in our organization, and make all these, what we are using to build our application, our services, is accessible by one entry point, which is not entry point, which is a portal, where all the developers across the organization, they have simple and standard way to use all these tools and those technologies. Meaning that I want to make everything available to everyone using standard way and simple way without bothering them going through the details, how to use this tool, who owns that service, should I reach that person or the other one, how can I use this one, and so on and so forth. So the idea is to make the developer self-sufficient or self-serviced. I am a developer, I want to use some technologies, they are in place in my company, I should be able to use them directly, and I should be able to use them whenever I want, and I should have the capability to fully manage those services in my application. So today, developing and deploying any service requires many tools. Those tools can be building CI/CD pipelines, using some containers where you want to deploy your service, using and provisioning, creating Kubernetes cluster where you want to deploy your application, and so on and so forth. You want to add monitoring to your application, and so on. Well, DevOps, adopting the DevOps concept or principle or best practices can help on the way we are using those tools by adding automation to at some point, to some steps where developers, they can use those tools easily. But is that enough? Well, actually, not really. It's not enough. Why? And how can we do better? Actually, yes, we can by making all these tools managed and maintained by operations. So the operation team should be able and responsible for managing, maintaining those tools, all the tools. All right? Not only that, they should actually expose all these tools to our developers across the organization, meaning that all these tools, we can see them as services. And the developers will be our consumers. So every developer in the company will be able to use any of these tools, customize it the way they like, by exposing all these tools, all these technologies as services, which are managed and maintained by the operation team. What are the benefits of having this way of making or exposing all our existing technologies and tools, documentation into IDP? Well, it brings a lot of benefits to the table. One of these benefits is making the developer self-service, self-sufficient. I am a developer, I want to implement a service, I don't want to go to the CIC team because I would like actually to customize one pipeline, okay, and I want to actually provision some nodes in the cloud. Then I go to team B and I create a Jira ticket in their board, and I wait 2 weeks later to give me that and to be able to test my application. Okay, good luck with that. This is gonna take forever. So the idea is really to make the developers self-sufficient, self-service by accessing all these services through the portal. And of course, the main benefit that will increase the productivity of our developers and the overall productivity across the whole organization. On the other hand, that will actually help to decrease the mean time where you need to repair a broken pipeline, a broken deployment, because you are responsible for that, so you don't need to reach anybody, so you do it yourself because you have the capability to fully manage the life cycle of your service. Last but not least, since all these services available all the time, at any time, so you can really deploy your application whenever you want, and that will really increase the frequency of our deployment. Great. Now the question, how in reality the IDP looks like. How can we build an IDP? Well, I'm gonna explain that from 2 different perspectives. The first one, if I am operational person, okay, so I'm working in operation team. So what I will see, well, I will reverse. I'll talk about it as the developers because the developers you will benefit first. So as a developer, from developer's perspective, what I will see, basically I will see through my browser, web UI, where I have list of plugins, template, documentation, where I can actually click and pick any of them and install it based on my need. If I want to create an application based on Node.js, I can pick that template, 1 click, I'm ready to go. Of course, behind the scene, there is the backend development for each of these plugins or template. Those can be developed internally, like the Node.js or the service catalog plugin, or they can be actually developed by third-party entities. For example, here I'm showing Buildkite or Jira or ArgoCD or another third-party components. There are plenty of plugins actually today that you can add them to the IDP. So all of this together, what the developer, from developer perspective, how the IDP looks like. The second view, it's from operational perspective, where as operational team, what you need to do, actually, it's a combination of few things. The first one is you are responsible for provisioning, maintaining, managing the cloud infrastructure you want to use or your company need to use, and those can be provided by different cloud provider, AWS, GCP, etc. Of course, you need to have build some CI/CD tools. Why is that? To help the developers to be able to build test, and deploy their application into the infrastructure. All the application and service data and also the deployment configuration are stored in different kind of database, depends on in your use case. You want one database or another. It's relational database, not relational database. On top of all these components, we need container orchestration. And it can be Kubernetes, for example. And why is that? Well, actually, it will help me to map or transfer any desired state that I represent in a YAML or manifest file to be my actual state into the cloud infrastructure while using all the other tools I just explained earlier. And all of this together, it's the operational team responsibility. Okay. Now you might think, okay, we have in our organization, we've been working, I don't know, 10 years, 20 years, we have hundreds of services, we have like more than, I don't know, hundreds of tools, technologies we are using, we put in place. We paid a lot of effort, we invest a lot in time and development to build the DevOps best practices, and now, I'm telling you, this is not enough, and you need to build a layer on top of that. And so what I'm going to answer you, don't panic. Why is that? It's because you don't have to build everything from scratch. There are plenty of open source tools can help you to integrate everything you have exist to your IDP if you decide to create this layer. One of the tools I'm going to talk about, it's Backstage. I don't know if you heard of it. How many of you heard of it or nobody? Ah, okay, wow, oh great, okay, cool. I hope that you have positive opinion about it. So Backstage is an open platform that helps organizations to build an IDP, internal developer portal. It has been developed at Spotify and has been donated to the Cloud Native Computing Foundation, say NCF, in 2020. And there are many companies actually that are adopting this solution. It shows a lot of success and different use cases. And the main idea behind Backstage at Spotify is they want really to improve the developer experience. They don't want to bother developers with knowing everything existing in the company and learning everything about how to provision a cluster, how to write a Terraform script, how to build your pipeline, and so on, or waiting on other teams to do it for you. So that was the main idea, to increase the productivity of the developers and increase and help them to improve their experience. One of the use case where Backstage has been adopted, it's Lunar. It's actually an online bank located in Denmark, where they were having a challenge that they lost all their logs. You know, at bank, logs are sensitive information. They want to keep it in secure place and centralized place. So they adopted Backstage to not only manage their logs in a central place, also all their services in one place. And they shown their experience that actually they measure their success by adopting Backstage along with other tools, that they were able to do 40 release per day, 250 microservices across 9 Kubernetes clusters deployed in multiple clouds, and so on and so forth. So the idea is to show in real case Backstage has been used. And actually today, there are more than 100 companies that are using Backstage, like Netflix, American Airlines, and other companies. At Elastic, we start using that. It has been a few months. We adopted that solution. It's moving forward. I think it's time for demo. So in the demo, I'm going to show how can I install it locally in my machine. It can be deployed to the cloud. So the installation is pretty straightforward and it's well documented in the official website. What you need to have in your machine, curl or wget, Node.js, package manager, Yarn, and you need to have Docker and Git. Then running the Backstage actually by running this command npx and creating your application. And then inside the application, what you need to run, it's yarn dev, where it will run two processes. The first one running the backend one, and the second one's running the front end. And let's go and see some demo. So this is my application. It takes around 5 to 10 minutes to create the application, I guess 5 minutes to install everything. And then when you run yarn dev, I think I'm gonna go by mistake. All right, what you will get at the beginning is the main homepage, where you can see different, you can navigate through different things. So you can see all the component. When I say component, it's an implementation of a plugin. Okay, so there are plugins what we saw in the slides. So here represented as a component can be API, it can be a service, can be a library, it can be a documentation. I want to insist on this. Today I've noticed that in many companies, I changed several jobs, few jobs. Many companies, you join, you ask about documentation. Oh, this one you can find in Google Drive, this one Dropbox, this one in Confluence. You don't know who on this service, you don't know how to reach to that team, and so on. So in Backstage, actually, one of their benefit and one of their idea to have all those tech docs in central place as well. I'm going to show you a use case about that. So you can navigate, see different things. You can know who owns this service or this API. You can know the life cycle. Is it experimental? Is it in a production? And so on. So I'm going to show two main use cases. The first one, if I am an operational person. So I'm an operational person. I want to add component or plugins to my Backstage, to my portal. So of course, there are other tabs for the API, for the docs, and here we will come to this one. So to add a new component to my portal, I will go here, and what they ask me, so you need to remember something, at Backstage, everything is about manifest file, YAML file. Everything is described in manifest file. This is a very easy way to manage and to handle. So they provide actually in their website some examples. So I'm going to take one of them, which is the pit store component. There are plenty of other components. I'm going to pick the pit store. And what you need to take the URL. You need to put it here, repository URL, analyze, import, and it has been added. So it has been a new component added to my Backstage. You can see it even in the home page. What you can see here that this component actually provides 3 API, Hello World, Pit Store, and Streetlights. If we go back to the code, just to make sure, so the code is simply described, or the YAML file, like you have a component, the type is service, it's experimental, it's owned by Team C, and it provides 3 APIs. So if I go to the APIs, I see that there are 3 APIs. Let's pick one of them, and all of them owned by Team C. And if I go to the definition, actually this is interesting. I'm able to reach to the Swagger API, and I can know that in this API there are different kind of GET and POST requests I can send to that API. So, and it will appear here for sure. Okay, this is the first example. The second example, which I was talking about, is the documentation. So if I want to add documentation, it's in my own repository. I created a specific repository around having documentation. So basically, I created this YAML file where I said I have a hello world documentation, and it's located, this is very important, adding this annotation tag saying that it's located in my repository, and the documentation in this directory. It's experimental, I own it. So if I go to the main directory, it's in the doc, so there will be loading of this markdown file. So what I need to do, simply the same. I will take the URL of my YAML file, And I will do register again, analyze, import, and here we go. So basically, I have the source code, I have the technical documentation. Here I'm saying, okay, hello, welcome to Devoxx France. Welcome to my talk as well. Everything you will be able to see here, all the hello world, the pit store I just added. So here from operational point of view. So now let's see, I am a developer. So those, they will be available for me, I can reuse them. So if I go to a developer, I will use the example already provided by Backstage. And here there is, actually, I would like to create a Node.js application. So there is a template already provided by the operation team. I will say, okay, let's create, and I will call it Node.js application. It will be hosted in my GitHub. I already, in the application, when I initialize the Backstage, there is a configuration file where I give them the access to my GitHub with the giving the token. Otherwise, they will not be able to reach it or create something there. So I am the owner, and the repository, let's name it the same way. So what he will do, so first of all, I can show you my repository. So there is nothing about Node.js. Okay. I think I mixed it up, then I say create. All right, so what he did actually by this step, he took that template and he got access to my repository, and he created a new repository for me, for my application Node.js. And the main thing, of course, there will be the catalog YAML file saying, yeah, the owner is user guest, and it's experimental, and it's a service. And there are other files that are coming from the template. So that's basically the idea. One more thing I want to say, there is this plugin, TechRadar. It's a plugin actually to visualize the guidelines about all the technologies the company is using. What it shows you, actually, it categorizes what is used inside that company, that organization, in 4 categories. For example, from adopt to hold. Adopt meaning that this tool or this technology has been used by many teams, and it shows successfully, it's successful for specific use cases. While hold means that we don't want to invest in tools and no team should use it. So we can see here, for example, okay, doc-like code has been approved by the organization here and should be used for many use cases. While, for example, here, force push, I don't think so you see very well, force push to master is not allowed. So it shows really the guidelines, the best practices you should, has been adopted by different teams across the organization for different use cases. I think that's mainly it for the demo. As I said, there are many plugins that really there are third-party entities they want to integrate to Backstage. I don't know all of them. There is Azure, there is Jira, there is Confluence, ArgoCD, many of these plugins. So as you can see, it's becoming really very trendy and useful. I'm gonna go back to the slide, and I think I'm here, because before they were screenshots. I reached the end of my talk as takeaway, and I can see that nobody fell asleep, because this is the important slide. So what I want you to remember from this talk is our goal today, with all the growth, the rapid growth of the technology and the tools we have today, is really to simplify the life of developers and improve their experience. How we do that? By making them self-sufficient, self-service. They can use the tool they would like anytime to implement their service. This will increase the productivity not only for the developers, but the overall across our organization. And this is the list of references I used to prepare this talk. I really enjoyed giving this talk. Again, I appreciate that you favorite the talk over the drinks. So I hope that you learned something with me. and you might probably go back to your companies, try to implement it, or propose it to your manager and see how it goes. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope that you enjoyed the talk and enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you so much.